perfect home, my perfect health.
Good evening, and welcome to Interfaith Spiritual Center Worldwide, where we believe there's a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and we can use it. We have no creed but love. Love one another as I have loved you. We have no doctrine but the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Tonight, as I welcome you, I have just loved our theme for the month, and it's been about the art of blessing. And in this Thanksgiving month, in fact, November has been an amazing month of so many anniversaries and opportunities to look past appearances, conditions that show up, and the effects of our daily life. So as Miss Minnie and I greet you tonight, we greet you with profound esteem and the recognition that there really is only one, that we're about tipping the scales in favor of world peace, universal love, and goodwill to all, regardless of color, race, creed, or sexual orientation. Our God is all inclusive, everywhere present, the center of everything, the circumference of no thing. So tonight, as we gather together, and I just want to really acknowledge your commitment to your spiritual life. Wednesday Night Live has been in place for over 40 years. And I actually began it in my San Diego ministry. And it's the halfway point of the week. So it allows us to renew, recreate, regenerate our energy, open our consciousness, and allow that energy that is within each and every one of us to go forth, go before us, and prepare the way with ease and grace. I want to welcome our beautiful Rhonda from Florida, and happy Thanksgiving to you. Love you too, sweetheart. Absolutely. I'm going to put your little comment up on the screen since I learned how to do it. Every time my daughter comes to visit me, I always learn something new regarding my iPhone or technology, and my 12-year-old grandson is just absolutely amazing at it. So as I welcome you all tonight and just acknowledge that we have a divine appointment, that nothing happens by chance, even though things look like coincidences, and it's so amazing how they come into our atmosphere and our experiences. Nothing happens by chance. Everything is by divine appointment. So I want to say happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you, and just to acknowledge the power, the presence, the energy that allows us through technology, thank you, Rhonda, to meet together. And wherever I have gone throughout the world, and if you remember, I was voted in as the president of the International Foundation for World Peace and Research. And wherever I have gone in the world, I've had Facebook friends there to greet me. It's not a first-time meeting. It really is a joyful reunion of souls that have been together many lifetimes. And I deeply, deeply believe that. And it's really fascinating because in the biblical text, there is a passage about one of the disciples asking Jesus who he was. And if he was the reincarnation of Abraham, of, all of these great prophets. So there was energetically that mystical energy in every sacred text. And there is a mystical element within the science of mind, which is the laws of science, the opinions of philosophy, the revelations of religion applied to human need and the aspirations of every living soul. I want to say hi to our Raj, and God bless you, dear brother, as well, as we gather together, as the two or three gathered together for a higher purpose, acknowledging there is a power, there is a presence, and there is an energy here in the midst of us. And what you know is that I always set the tone for every service. And I do it with the little Tibetan bells. And the Tibetan bells resonate to the heart chakra. Remember, chakra means a wheel of spinning energy in a clockwise fashion. And there are 7 major chakras within this body temple. And tonight we're opening the heart. And we're acknowledging we're going to make the longest journey on the planet, the 18-inch journey from the head to the heart. We're going to close that gap, and we're going to acknowledge that there is a right and a left hemisphere within our brain. And that right hemisphere opens the heart. The left hemisphere opens the mind, allows us to see things in a very logical, linear fashion, all the cause and effect relationships that show up. So tonight, we're going to look at the power of blessing and the opportunity that each and every one of us has to bless whatever is going on in our experience, because we have called it in. This was the greatest thing for me to ever integrate into my consciousness when I first got into this way of life, that we create it all. And some people have flagellate themselves, they beat themselves up. I was negative. No, it's not about that. It's about having self-compassion. It's about having an understanding of the human condition, that as our humanness gives way to the divine, the Christ consciousness arises triumphant and victorious. This is how it works. So tonight, when we open our hearts and our minds, and we realize that we have a soul connection, we're part of a soul community. And throughout our lives, we're going to draw in the experiences that are going to absolutely challenge the very fiber of our being and integrate that so that we can be in the marketplace, as the ancient Bodhisattva said, with healing, helping hands. Yes, with healing, helping hands. So here are the Tibetan bells. And I am going to share with you the chant from the Gandhi Foundation. And as I share this chant with you, every week we go over this, that if you feel comfortable repeating after me the declaration into the law of mind, I invite you to do that. If you don't feel comfortable with it, that's fine too, because you can just inaudibly, silently, just say it to yourself and just place your hand on your heart. I offer you peace. I offer you friendship. I offer you love. I see your beauty. I hear your needs. I feel your feelings. My wisdom flows from a higher source. I salute that source in you. Come, let us work together. Come, let us work together. Come, let us work together. Peace, shalom. Peace, shante. Peace, salam. Peace, pause. Peace, pax. Peace, Frieden. Peace, peace, peace. Right now, somewhere in the world, a Jew is saying her prayers, a Hindu is chanting a mantra, and a Buddhist is kneeling at her sacred shrine. Right now, at this very moment, someone is lighting a candle in a cathedral. Someone is making their hajj toward Mecca, for it is the will of Allah. And yet someone else is lighting a fire in a jungle, repeating an ancient mystical drama, many, many pathways up the mountaintop, and the view is always the same from the summit. In the dawning of the spiritual sun, for a moment, all faiths became as one. The Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, Jew became as one, and somehow knew that mystic voice that calls to me, "Oh, yonder, yonder person, I am thee." We are one. And this oneness moves beyond all differences and brings us into the arena of the heart center to acknowledge that we are drawn together through what? Our similarities, and we grow through our differences. So tonight, when we are looking at the power of blessing and the opportunity that we have, that whatever is drawn into our energy field, that we bless and curse not. And the text that I absolutely love that I share with you is The Art of Blessing by Pierre Pradervand, who is a Swiss citizen and very much involved in nonprofits and solving world hunger and the energy of love and gratitude. And just to recap, his story was that he was fired. They gave him a choice, but he said they might as well have fired him because if he would have stayed, it would have gone against his moral principles. And that there was one gentleman in particular that was really after him, wanted him gone, did everything in his, power to get him gone, until finally they came up with this ultimatum. And he said, out of that, I had to resign. It went against my moral fiber. So he was eaten up with resentment. He had donated $25,000 to this nonprofit to help with world hunger. And here he is, he's out. He's on the outside looking in. And so he was very, very upset, feeling very resentful. He meditated, he shared mantras, he read books, he listened to inspirational tapes. Nothing seemed to work. That resentment just ate away at him until one day he said he was reading the Sermon on the Mount and he came across a passage by Jesus the Christ. And that passage said, bless and curse not. And I want you to know that everything we bless increases exponentially, and everything we curse increases exponentially. Where thought goes, energy flows. So tonight, when we're looking at the power of blessing, and, I've had some interesting experiences. I had a medical opportunity and, being with the nurses and telling them what a noble profession it is and offering them my little interfaith peace angels. They're little lapel angels, little 14 karat gold angels, and offering those to them and acknowledging them. They were like stunned that they were being acknowledged. And that wherever I've gone, to the store, wherever, just to silently bless everything that's going on. And as we bless everything that's going on, what happens with ourselves? We are the greatest benefactors. So we bless the cashier. And I just loved it. I was in the line at a grocery store one time, and it was the 15 things or less, 15 items or less sign. And, I had my less than 15, and the person in front of me had at least 50,000 things in their cart. I mean, it was just like overflowing. So I just silently, kind of went with them, but I was a bit judgmental, and I just had to let it go. She got up to the check stand, and the cashier said, and so which 15 things do you want? And the lady pulled the card out, went down to another cashier because she was only going to get 15 things out of all of these things that she had overflowing in her basket. And when I got up to this cashier, and I just said, that was one of the most amazing experiences I have witnessed. I congratulate you. And she did it in such a way, not to be offensive, but to make the point. So we can make the point without confrontation. And when we make the point without confrontation, there is an understanding that occurs. And when that understanding occurs, there's an opening, isn't there? And we all move through that opening. So as we bless wherever we are on the planet, and I live here in Desert Edge. It's called Desert Edge. I used to think it was called Desert Hot Springs, but it's above Desert Hot Springs. We're up on the hill, looking out on my beautiful mountains that I affectionately named the Himalayas. And I'm looking out, and there are wonderful, wonderful people passing by on the trail. And as they pass by on the trail, I bless them. And of course, if they have a dog, Miss Minnie, she goes a little, I call her barky face. She goes a little bit overboard. But I bless every person that I see pass my plate glass when I'm up further, so I can see them down on the trail with their dogs and walking. And I get up sometimes at dawn, and there are people. They are hiking or walking, and it's an opportunity for me. So when we have negative experiences, and I say, there are really no positive or negative experiences. There's just experiences. When we put negative on it, we sort of enlarge it. But for the vernacular, we have experiences. Some of them do not feel good and they feel negative, right? Others feel joyous, wonderful, and we call those positive. But we are the sum total of all of our experiences. When we realize that, when that revelation of truth comes flooding in, and we know that we know that we know, and not even the gates of hell shall prevail against us, we know that we know that we know. And through that knowingness, it penetrates anything unlike itself. So tonight, I want to share with you one of the most moving interviews that I had ever experienced. And, this month has been absolutely amazing. I started out the month celebrating my 46th anniversary in the ministry. We celebrated recently our 20th anniversary here at Interfaith Spiritual Center. November 14th, I received a star on the Palm Springs Walk of Stars for my humanitarian work. That was like 6 years ago. And our beloved Reverend Prince Fleet Easton was his first year anniversary of being ordained. We had Veterans Day. So many things here in November that we have acknowledged. And this interview is so powerful and so magnificent, and it's about a mother's blessing. And it happened during 1939, during World War II, when the Jews were put in concentration camps. And this was in Poland. And there was the Rosenblatt family, and there were 5 children. And the Nazis put them in the concentration camp. And Herman Rosenblatt, he is narrating, he gave the narrative of what transpired. And he ran to his mother as they put, the infirm and the sick in one line, which was usually the women and the children. And then they put the men in the work camp, which was to the left. So he went running to his mother and he said, "I don't want to go with my brothers. I want to be with you." And he said, "My mother pushed me aside and said, 'I don't want you. You need to be over there with your brothers.'" He said he was 12 years old. He was devastated that his mother would push him away. He said it was in tears. And then they went through the gate. And later he discovered that his mother she was in the gas chamber and she died. And he said they received 1 slice of bread and water every day. And he said the whole energy was about hunger, hunger, hunger. And you could sleep and you could dream. These were the only outlets for this outrageous experience at Treblinka, a concentration camp that was connected to Poland. And he said he had a dream. And his mother came to him in the dream. And she said, "Oh, my son, I bring you a blessing. Don't worry. Everything is going to be all right. I am sending you an angel. Oh, my son, I am sending you a blessing. Oh, my son, I am sending you an angel." And she disappeared. And he said, and the next scene in his dream was an angel, a beautiful, luminous angel. And as quickly as the angel appeared, it disappeared. He said the next day they were marching next to the barbed wire fence, and he was like the last one. And he noticed something through the barbed wire fence, and it was a little girl dressed in a very warm coat. He said, here I am in my paper suit and my rags on my feet for shoes. And he said, I yelled out to her, do you have any food? And she reached in her pocket and she threw me an apple. This glorious, sacred apple. And he said he just acknowledged it and he ran. And she said, I'll see you tomorrow. And every day she brought him food, bread, apples, whatever. She saved my life. And then one day I was going to be transferred to another camp. And I told her not to come anymore, that I was going to be transferred to another camp. I was 12 and she was probably 11 or 12. And I saw a tear flow from her eye. And a tear flowed from my eye. And he said, with that, 9 months later, the Allies came, right? The Allies came to rescue him on the day that he was going to go to the gas chamber. And we're looking at divine appointments here tonight and the power of a mother's blessing. The appearance in a dream of his deceased mother. I bring you a blessing. Everything is going to be all right. I am sending you an angel. And he said, as he thought about the angel, the little girl through the barbed wire fence, throwing food over the fence every single day, kept him alive. She saved my life. And he said it with such passion and conviction in the interview. She saved my life. And when the Allies came, I was free. I was free. He said he spent time in England and then went to Israel, was part of the Israeli army, and then put in his papers, he and his brothers put in their papers to move to the United States. Now, when we're looking at a mother's blessing here, and as we look at a mother's blessing, and we acknowledge that energetically, that this was carrying him through his life. 12 years elapsed. He came to the US. He had friends. He had colleagues. And his friends wanted to set him up with a date. And they said, she's from Poland. You know, you're going to get along with her. And he said he was engaged 3 different times from 1949 to 1956. And he just called them all off because they intuitively knew that these women were not his soulmates. And he intuitively called them off. And he said, I was hesitant. I didn't really want to do it. My friend said, come on, we'll double date. It'll be fine. So they went to Coney Island. And they're in the Ferris wheel. And they're having like a little discussion and talking about Israel. And she had shared that when she was in Israel, she was a nurse, and a group of the nurses met with some of the Israeli soldiers. And he said, well, tell me, what did he look like? And she described him. And he said, that was me. She said, was it really? And her name was Roma. She goes, what a coincidence. Remember, there are no coincidences. Nothing happens by chance. Everything is by divine appointment. Everything. So in metaphysics, behind everything that comes into our experience, there is a greater cause in mind. So he's taking her home. He said he's attracted to her. He's decided he's going to ask her for her phone number. And when they're in the car and they're having a conversation, she said, where were you during the war? And he said, I was in a concentration camp. She said, you were? She said, I was throwing food over the fence to a boy. And he said, did the boy have a paper suit and rags on his feet? And she said, yes. Did the boy come to you and tell you not to come anymore, that he is being transferred to another camp? She said, yes. He said, that was me. You are the angel, the blessing that my mother sent me. You saved my life. Without you, I don't think I could have lived. You gave me hope. You gave me a reason to live. Just meeting you every day. And he said, she didn't come sometimes. She came every single day, throwing food, throwing apples. So energetically, this was a divine appointment. He said, we just sat there and stared at each other. We just sat there staring at each other. What are the odds that you meet once in Israel? You know, you're part of a group, and this particular person, you know, you're kind of teamed up with for the evening. But everything has a divine plan and a divine destiny and a divine timing. And the timing at that moment, had it been right, it would have what? It would have come together with ease and grace. After 12 years, not even a German concentration camp, not even a residence in England could keep them apart. From a German concentration camp to going to Coney Island, sitting on a Ferris wheel, realizing we met before in Israel, but the timing was not right. And at that moment, to have the realization of a mother's blessing, my son, to come in a dream, my son, I send you a blessing. All will be well. My son, I send you a blessing. And he said, I believe that Roma was the angel that my mother sent to me. And he said, we were sitting in the back seat of the taxi, and I said, I'm going to marry you. And that her response was, didn't we kind of literally just meet? He said, oh no, we've been together for a lifetime. You saved my life. You gave me food. I'm here because of you and my mother's blessing. And when we look at the power of a blessing, even if it comes through a dream of that loved one from the other side entering through the etheric realm, my son, I send you a blessing. Let us all open tonight and acknowledge the power of blessing. And that 11 months after Herman Rosenblatt and Roma were married. And in the interview, they came on, they were married 45 years in the interview. And she said, I know that God sent him to me. And he said, I know my mother sent you to me. That it was a mother's blessing, the power of blessing. We bless, as Jesus the Christ said, bless and curse not. For the power of the blessing is going to increase our good, pressed down, shaken together, and flowing over into every single area of our life. This is the day the Lord hath made. Let us consciously choose to rejoice and be glad in it. It is a gift from God. And what we make of this thing called life is our gift back to God. This is how it works, to offer our lives up. And as we offer our lives up, miracles happen. It's through the power of blessing. So I thank you, and I thank you very much. We have another lovely comment, and I thank you so much, all of you. And Marlene is here with us, and happy Thanksgiving to you. And let us be so aware that we carry this throughout 2022, 2023, that my daily life is my temple and my religion, right? Our daily life is our temple and our religion. So I am so very pleased that I could share this most powerful story of the mother's blessing and how it carried this young man from a concentration camp in Poland to the United States of America, Coney Island, on a Ferris wheel, sitting with the young girl that saved his life and threw apples and bread and food over a barbed wire fence so that he could live and 12 years later propose and say, we have a divine destiny to fulfill together. This did not happen by chance. This was a divine appointment. So you know that I always, if you have a prayer request, I offer you to post it, because our miracle working ministry of prayer is working on it. I also want to acknowledge to each and every one of you that have a gratitude journal. I have one of many, and this was given to me by Laura Gisborne. And I was speaking for her Unlimited Women group. And it's just so great to go through what we are grateful for every day and to repeat that process. I'm also a co-author in this book called Louise Hay and Friends, Gratitude, A Way of Life. You can get this on Amazon.com, and it's just filled with beautiful stories of her colleagues and friends, Bernie Siegel, Stuart Wilde, Joan Borsinko, all the wonderful luminaries on the planet. So this is a wonderful little book that will guide you in just looking at gratitude. And Wayne Dyer writes something very beautiful in it as well. And I was really touched that she wanted me to contribute to it. And we just bless Louise and the amazing legacy that she's left the planet in such profound ways. So, and I invite you to post your prayer requests, where you are from, as we go within tonight, as we really acknowledge there is one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is our life right here and right now. It is nearer than our breathing. It is closer than hands and feet. It is the life of our life. It is the essence of our being. All that we are is this God-created stuff. God in us, God as us, God is within each of us, co-creating. Whatever we conceive our God to be, whatever name we put on our higher power, it matters not. But to acknowledge that which is within us is greater than that which resides in the world of conditions, appearances, and effects. For eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man and woman the things which God hath prepared for them that love. Love being the strongest healing power in the universe. And we are told that if we could love enough, we would be the strongest, most powerful beings on the planet. And let us align tonight. That which needs to be healed is healed. That which needs to be revealed is revealed. That which needs to be known is known. And that which needs to be released is released. Quickly, gently, and with grace. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for this way of life, for the recognition that we are all one, that we are tipping the scales in favor of universal love and peace, regardless of color, race, creed, sexual orientation, or political affiliation. We are one. And let us align that any plant which the Heavenly Father hath not planted is rooted up. Return to its native nothingness from whence it came, because the truth is, it is neither person, place, nor thing, only the life and the energy that has been given unto it. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, that we can let go and let God do what God does best by means of each and every one of us here tonight, knowing it is to extend love one to another. And so it is, and so it shall forever be. And I'm going to close with a poem I wrote many, many years ago. My daughter was just a little girl, and my husband, Neil, and I, we all lived out in the forest, the Angeles National Forest. And we had horses, and we used to ride through the forest. And when Neil made his transition, I actually gave the horses away, and my daughter and I moved to Valencia, California, and I had founded the Santa Clarita Center for Spiritual Living, and which is still going today. And this is called We Thank Thee. We give thee thanks for canyon breeze, the gentle rustle of crimson leaves, the majestic song the mountain cries when sunlight kisses the haloed skies, the babbling brook that sings a psalm to a universe that is filled with calm. For a child's eyes an outstretched hand to christen our lives in sweet wonderland. For kittens nestled beside the fire to yawn and stretch and purr inquire, for quiet deer to roam and muse, to gather strength and then diffuse. For the parade of quail marching by, then disappear with a twilight sky. For the aroma of a Thanksgiving meal as the family gathers and the hours steal. For the giant oak outside our door, we give thee thanks for this and more. We thank thee for the friend and loved one, a special traveler from sun to sun, to fulfill our life with warmth and smiles, while gathering love across the miles. Yes, we give thee thanks for God's great plan while fulfilling a destiny in spiritual man. So I say to each and every one of you, namaste. The divinity within me salutes that divinity within you, and that divinity within you salutes that divinity within me. And as I salute you tonight, I want to give so much gratitude for those of you who have been sending in your tithes, your love offerings, and financial gifts. Our doors are open because of your generosity of spirit and your loving energy, which has meant so very, very much to Interfaith Spiritual Center worldwide, a divine idea in the mind of God whose time has come. The time is now, and the place is where we are. So I say shalom, the peace that passes all understanding. And God bless us, every single one. Have a glorious Thanksgiving if you're from the United States of America, and have a beautiful day of blessing wherever you are in the world. Remember, the power of blessing increases our good, pressed down, shaken together, and flowing over into every area of our life. I love you. I'm grateful for you. And little Miss Minnie and I, we will see you next week. And so it is.